First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Swimsuit? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Phone charger? Check. Don't forget to pack the 5-Hour Energy. It fits great in a pocket or carry-on, and the alert feeling will help you arrive ready for anything. Now get 20% off when you use code 5HETRAVEL at 5hourenergy.com. Expires April 30th. One-time use only. Not valid with other discounts. Remember, visit 5hourenergy.com and use code 5HETRAVEL to save 20%.
On the line right now is Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good. I got to tell you, I saw by the way, thanks for coming in studio last week. That was really awesome. I heard a lot of people talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, thank you for having me. I really liked being there, and I liked seeing people face-to-face. That was nice.
It does feel good to see people face-to-face. I mean, some people face-to-face. There are those like,
stay away.
Here we go. Here we go again. I'd forgotten all about this one.
Talk to the ex. Damn, couldn't you just text me?
But not you, Doc, by any means. Okay, so it's funny because in this world of clicks being measured, the world is measured by clicks today, it seems. And everybody's looking for that headline that's going to make people read their story. I read 2 headlines last week that I thought were interesting. There was a story out of Washington State that said, well, it's finally happened. Someone who was fully vaccinated has died from COVID-19. And then I saw a story from Fox News that said, what they're not telling you is many people are dying who have been vaccinated, dying of COVID-19. So which is it really?
So I can't... That's kind of amazing to me.
I know. I both stories completely in contrast with each other.
Yeah, so, when you get into large numbers, literally millions of people, there are going to be some people who are going to get the vaccine and not have a response to it. I mean, we know that the best vaccine right now currently has a 95, 96% response rate.
Right.
And that of those that do get sick, they had basically minor illness. Now, that was in 40,000 people, which is a pretty big number. But when you get into the millions of people, you're going to have people that are going to have zero response and are going to be able to get sick and get significantly ill. Mm-hmm. So is it large numbers? No, because if it were large numbers, we would know about that. I mean, that is not something that would be kept under wraps for any length of time, because I mean, just families would be talking about it.
Right.
So the fact that there is apparently a single case, at least one that we know of, I'm betting there are probably more. Mm-hmm. But it is a vanishingly rare event where somebody is fully vaccinated and gets sick and gets so sick that they need to be in the hospital and so sick that they end up dying. I mean, that is a vanishingly rare event. Now, I will also say that with these variants that are coming out and the new variants and the new way of categorizing them, the one that we are really looking at is the Delta variant. So that's the one that we saw in India and is now taking over as the primary virus type in the UK and is here in the United States as well. I think the last number that I saw was it is running around 10% of the variants that are typed are the Delta type.
Yeah.
The vaccines do have an effect on that. It is not as robust as the effect that they had on the native or even on the alpha or Bravo ones, which are the ones from the UK and South Africa. But it still does have an effect, and so that's a good thing. But, as these variants are allowed to propagate, and they propagate because people get sick, and the variants just have an opportunity to change, through evolution, they just change. And so we will end up with more of these until we get to the point where we can really knock this down. And we knock it down by getting as many people vaccinated now as possible. If we get them vaccinated now, then the chance of more variants coming up that are more and more resistant to the vaccine goes down.
I want to bring up one final note here this morning, and this involves the changes in society since COVID, and where we are currently as we're watching the worries wane going forward, and we are seeing that whether the virus is going away or not. The restrictions certainly are, but it was first of all the overemphasis over in 2020 on the common sneeze. When someone would sneeze about 6 months ago, everyone would stop. Like, oh my God.
Like a grenade had just gone off.
You did not just sneeze in my presence. It is quite interesting. You're in a store. Someone sneezes. Like, what are you even doing coming in the store? Well, I had to sneeze. Right? And then seeing how people react to the sneeze. How do they cover their mouth if they're wearing a mask? Do they keep the mask on? All of these things. I find it kind of interesting that is sticking around. The sneeze still is effective. And I think 2020 has given us that. It gets a reaction out of people. The other thing is the shaking of hands. An observation that I made on Friday when you left the studio, I greeted you as you left, or what we call that, not greeting, but it would be, well, whatever. Sorry. COVID brain. I got that COVID fog. We fist bumped. You fist bumped me, and I fist bumped you, and then you went to Andrew to fist bump him, and Andrew became the new person out there. He went straight in for the handshake.
Yeah, you're darn right.
Went right in there, and you were forced to shake his hand. So how do you handle that, starting with the sneeze and people's overreaction to the sneeze today?
Yeah, so, people sneeze for a lot of different reasons, and the vast majority of them relate to, some foreign substance, whether it's an particle of dust or an allergen or something that, gets into their nasal cavity.
Or the horrid amount of pollen.
Is basically a reflex that we human beings have developed to basically clear our nasal passages.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, in and of itself a dangerous thing. It has certainly had a bright light shown on it, especially with all of the YouTube videos that show how far, when you sneeze, how far, droplets go and stuff. I mean, they're actually pretty dramatic to watch.
Yes.
But, it is, keeping, if you have a mask on and then you cover your mouth and nose when you're going to sneeze with your elbow or whatever it is you're doing, that stops that. So, and honestly, if you have a mask that's got a vapor barrier on it, like the surgical mask that we wear in the hospital, then you're not really propagating droplets. So, but people are sensitized. So this is less about biology and fluid mechanics from a physics standpoint, and this is about psychology. This is about people being hypersensitized, and we are going to evolve away from this over time to where we're still going to. I think we will always be a little more attentive, at least for a longer period of time. But the dramatic fear, oh my God, it's like a gunshot that went off. I think that will start to wane.
Yeah.
The whole thing about greetings and departures and shaking hands or fist bumps or elbow bumps or whatever it's awkward.
It is awkward,
because people don't know what they're going to do. So this is what I would say about that. So
by the way, if it was a 1950s instructional video, it would go like this. And when Andrew would come onto the screen in black and white, it would say, "This is the aggressive handshaker."
Andrew's more of a, oh, come on, he'll give you like a big bear hug too on top
well,
of it.
that happened over the weekend, and one woman said, "No, I'm not hugging. My immune system is gone." I said, "Okay,
we don't hug." Okay, Doc, I'm sorry to interrupt.
So what I would say is that if Andrew is a hugger, then shaking hands is a step down from that. So we're probably moving in the right direction.
Yes,
he's saying he's happy he didn't get a hug.
2 levels down from Cuomo, by the way.
People are doing what they need to do in terms of hygiene and things like that. And by the way, you're fully vaccinated, then I think shaking hands is probably okay, but I'm not going to impose that on anybody. If people want to do elbow bumps, fist bumps, nods of the head, whatever that they want to do, then that's perfectly fine. It is thoughtful, and whatever anybody needs to do for themselves to be comfortable, I am fully supportive of. If somebody wants to come and give me a hug, and oh, by the way, they're not vaccinated, I'm probably going to demur on that.
It has become kind of the thing, though, where very similar to masks, when you'd be wearing a mask 8 months ago, and somebody would be like, "Oh, you don't need a mask here, kid." You're almost pushed into conforming. And the same thing is now happening with handshaking. It's like, that stuff's over now. Give me your hand. We're going to hand. To be honest with you, I didn't love shaking hands prior to the virus, so I'm kind of okay with the fist bump and.
Yeah, Bill wants us to go back to the pandemic.
Let's go back.
So he doesn't have to shake anymore.
Bill's preferred departure method was the thumbs up.
Well, there'll be no more handshaking and no thumbs up. I prefer a good nod myself.
That works for me, too.
Yeah.
I'll remember that next time, Dr. Hall. I apologize.
Just saying. I thought that was an interesting... And you're right, Doc. It's psychology we're looking at here more than anything else.
Yeah, and that, again... I try as much as possible to have everybody be as comfortable as they can be, understanding that not everybody's going to be completely comfortable. But if people want to do different things, as long as it is not overtly dangerous,
right.
I think that that's fine. And people need to live their lives in a reasonable, rational way, without exposing themselves or others to significant danger. So if it were back last November or even last January, where we had minimal people vaccinated and the virus was running rampant, I'm not shaking hands with anybody.
Right.
So
now you can be like, you know what, I don't want to offend anybody, so I'll shake the hand. I immediately go to put hand sanitizer on, and that's the end of it. So it is what it is, I guess. Okay. Good stuff, Doc. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you, everybody. Please be safe. Have a great week.
You do the same. Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS.
Two things quickly. I don't know if anybody caught it in there, but you had a great line, too, about there's the fist bumper, there's the handshaker, there's the hugger, and there's the governor.
I believe he's about 2 steps separated from everybody.
Yeah.